I'll try with my best without getting emotional, because a 200 mile is about problem solving on the run, and day one of a 4-day race and you can't breathe, panic sets in.
Did you hallucinate, Ben?
You always see things out there. Last year I did Bigfoot. I saw Bigfoot out there many times.
What does a team look like in an ultra, and what do they actually do?
I'll try with my best without getting emotional, because they're everything in your ultra. They will basically be your brain for you, execute your plan, be at every checkpoint where you need them, massage your feet, pop blisters.
You're a CEO and you're a commercial person, you're in business. Like, ultra running obviously has risks. How does it inform the way that you manage risk or assess risk in business?
The key is...
Welcome to the podcast, man. Good morning.
RJ, it's been a long time coming. Great to be here Friday morning. I'm excited.
Yeah, man, me too. So, I've been watching, looking at a lot of your shenanigans. So, your recent event in Lake Tahoe, 99 hours, 325 kilometers, 11,000 meters elevation, 4 nights out, and 4 hours sleep. Man, what the hell were you thinking, Ben?
What an epic adventure. Yeah. I don't know where to start. It was crazy. It was a dream come true, that's for sure. And mate, I loved every single minute of it.
You're an ultra runner, and you've been an ultra runner on the central coast of New South Wales for a long time. I know over the last year or so, you started to get into some really longer distances. Like, I guess let's take it back to, how did you get introduced to the world of ultra running in the first place?
I think as a kid, you watch the Hawaii Ironman, you watch Pat Farmer, you watch, Cliff Young shuffling to Melbourne, and I thought, I got to do that one day. And I used to play rugby league, and I sort of retired in 2009, and I thought, this is my chance. I could do this now. I've got time. I'm getting older, but I thought, you start out in half marathons, 50K, 100K, and I like seeing how far we can go, and I like the challenge of going further. I like pushing the boundaries. I like getting to breaking point. I think that's where the magic is. I think that's when the race starts for me.
How is running and the world of ultra similar, different to rugby league?
I think you've got to be disciplined. I think part of the reason I'm attracted to ultra running and the discipline of it, working towards a goal, picking a big audacious goal and working towards it, is I probably wasn't as committed as a rugby league player as I should have been. I could have played, I did play a fairly high level, but I feel like that's been a bit of a regret in my life, and I don't want to have any more regrets. So that's the way I live my life every day now. It's like, get after it, do the training, do the work. I work with a lot of coaches. I feel that works for me. If it's in the program, it's in Training Peaks, it's happening. Nothing gets in the way, whether it's get up at 3 a.m., get up at 4 a.m., in the gym at night time at 9 p.m., which I've heard you talk about. You got to do what you got to do to get it done. And it's never easy. I work as a CEO. It's hard at times. I've got a family. I've got a grandson now. It's hard to fit it all in, RJ. As you know, it's important. It's important to me, and I like to hit my goals.
And we're going to unpack all that, because I think, like, there's ultra running, and then there's ultra running for parents and grandparents and people running companies. Like, it's a different beast. And I think part of the challenge is, how do you just get everything else done at a acceptable level, right? Like, without being a grumpy asshole, right? Like, and that's a real challenge, right?
Yeah.
So the other reason I really wanted to have you on the show, we got a mate who, from the Central Coast as well, Caves Beach. He ran the Great Northern Walk, Cal, and he's not he doesn't come across as a conventional runner, and nor do you. Like, was running easy for you? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not a runner, and blah blah blah. Let's talk about that. Like, is that a mental thing or a physical thing?
Yeah, physically, I'm not built like a runner. Your traditional 60 kilo, 70 kilo, lightweight, running up hills, that's not me. I think I'm built more like a football player, and that might build lens to that. But what I love about running, I think it's the mental aspect, right? Once you get past 50K, 100K, it's all mental. That's the challenge, and that's what I love about it. I think there is a lot of physical aspect to it, and I can get lighter, I can get stronger, but the beauty is in the mental work. And I think a lot of the lessons come from the longer distance and the pain you need to endure to get through those events. In a 200 mile, there's always pain. There's always challenges. There's always adversity. And we can talk a little bit about that, but that's where the magic is.
Yeah, let's step into the mechanics of how ultra running plays into your life, into your business. So in terms of like balance, how do you manage the demands of ultra distance running and training with your responsibilities as a CEO and father and husband?
I think firstly, it's got to be a priority. I have a busy life, and you can fill up your calendar with appointments. You can squeeze whatever you want in there, but if it's not a priority, it isn't happening. So my day starts with running. I travel probably 3 days a week in my role. I'll schedule flights around it. I'll make sure the alarm gets set before so we can get the run in first. Usually the night time is gym or sauna or some recovery, but it's got to be a priority. So we start every day with exercise and movement.
And when you say we, do you mean other people?
I try to run when I can with other people. I think I like that social aspect of it, and you learn a lot from other, elite runners. I think I encourage all my work to get to the gym. So I try and include them in my crazy feats, and I like to include them what I'm up to and, encourage that. I think I've done that everywhere I've been. I've encouraged people to get fitter, to get healthier. I think my mental health relies on moving my body early, and I think everyone's a bit like that. So it's the basics. Eat good food, drink water, get some sleep, move your body. If you haven't got that foundation, I think every day is going to be a struggle.
Talking about partners, and as much as our partners love us, like I know that people like us can be very challenging at times to be with. How do you manage that in terms of not pushing it over the edge, right? Like, how do you know when you're getting to that point where you just like, you got to take it back, or you got to spend time, or like you got to, you know what I mean, Ben?
It ebbs and flows, RJ, and I haven't perfected that. My wife, Rachel, is an angel. She is so supportive of my goals and running, and it almost makes me emotional just to talk about it. Recently, every race she's there, she is the rock that holds it together. And she does that at home. We talked about when I was moving into the CEO role, and I said, listen, I'm going to have to be traveling 3 or 4 days a week. I'm not going to be here. She works as well. She's got the kids. There's sport, there's dancing, there's all these things. And I think I'm incredibly lucky. I think initially it's getting used to that and adjusting. It's also not wasting time. So, in the younger days, I think you waste time on blowing it on going out on a night on alcohol, and then you're on the lounge for the next day. Like, I don't do that anymore. I just don't see that as a great time investment. And it also rocks the boat. Whatever I need to do to not rock the boat so we can fit in more adventures, I think, that's a strategy I need to employ.
You touched on the mental game and mental fortitude, particularly like in the longer distance, in terms of how that overlays with your leadership and decision making. Like, how has ultra running influenced your approach to leadership and just making decisions, man?
Yeah, we touched on this at work the other day. I think in an ultra, it sort of, there's many lessons you can take out of it, many you can bring back to the workplace. But one is, it's never easy. There are times of adversity. There's times it's going to be hard. There's times where, you're going to have to pull together, batten down the hatches and all pull in. And, we've all been there. Taking small incremental steps is important. Don't look too far ahead. You want to have your 1, 3, 10-year goal, but what's next? What's the next aid station we've got to get to? What's the next goal in work we've got to get to? Because sometimes it become overwhelming in a race and at work if you're looking too far ahead. So just focus on the now. Focus on what you're doing now. Do it well. The other thing I took from the race, and those times of adversity at work and in a race, it's worth it, right? The pain's worth it. The hard work's worth it. You just got to remember that. It's all going to be worth it if you just keep moving forward, keep putting in the work, keep ticking off your list.
In races, are you someone that generally doesn't delineate from the plan?
The longer the race gets, the less the plan matters. So, if you're executing a half marathon plan, you can dial into those 4-minute 30Ks or whatever you're trying to do, and you can nail it and you can have your gel every 20 minutes. If you're going to a 200 miler, the plan's out the window day one. I went into the last race and I had a ABCD plan. Number E plan is start, and finish with a smile. But I think it's important to have process goals as well. So a couple of my process goals, and thanks to Alicia for this throughout the race, was eat every hour, smile when you get into every aid station, and high five someone. So it's not always about the time goal or, getting to each aid station at a certain time. It's just about focusing on the steps you need to get to the end of the race. I think a 200 mile is about problem solving on the run. You're tired, your stomach doesn't want to work. One thing I didn't know about Tahoe is altitude, pollen, and dust as a combination will mess up your breathing completely. And when you're in the middle of a race and day one of a 4-day race and you can't breathe, panic sets in and you start to really doubt what you're doing. And I think 87 people DNF'd at Tahoe, and most of them were from breathing issues. Yeah, my advice with the plan, I think, be flexible, be adaptable. I think one of the best things in business, RJ, as you know, is just to be adaptable. So you need to adjust on the run. You need to keep, rolling with the punches.
And you talked, and you just touched on the problem solving, Ben. I think like in an ultra, it's very easy, to panic, particularly if you get lost or you don't know where you are or for whatever reason.
It's a funny story that I think the first time I met you, you were lost on the G&W in the middle of a race and you came back the other way, and I don't think you were overly happy about the whole thing.
No. Oh, that's exactly right. Yeah. I ran 2 kilometers the wrong way. And then to get back in my place, I kind of gunned it. And it was a real miscalculation because it was the first hot day.
I think you were at the front of the field as well, and you were a bit frustrated with the events. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I get lost, man. That's just my caper. And the other month I did an event and like everything I don't prepare, and I didn't realize it was like self-orienteered. And so I had to run with this like road runner because he knew like, where to go, and I didn't even load the map in my GPS. And then I left him like at the last 3Ks because he couldn't hit hills. I felt so bad because I kind of used him as a pacer. He kept trying to leave me on the flats, right? Like because this ultra in Wilson's Prom, it was a flat ultra, and he was trying to leave me. He's like running 4-minute 15, 4-minute 30Ks, and I'm like, dude, this guy's gonna burn out. He didn't, but anyways, don't get me started, man. That's my fault. But you touched on problem solving. How has problem solving in an ultra impacted the way that you solve problems in life or in your business?
I think there's always a solution is what I try and get to. I think in an ultra, it's simple life, right? It's either your head, your feet, or your stomach usually. Yeah, I think there's always a solution, and it's just what is the best solution for where we're at right now. So what do we need to do right now to lead us where we need to go? So I think a lot of the time you skip over information. Whether you're scanning your body, whether you're assessing your business, it's like, what intel have we got coming in? What data can we use to make, informed decisions rather than just reckless, I suppose. Sometimes it's collaboration. So talk to the team. What do we need to do here, guys? I think it's important to have buy-in as well. And it's the same in an ultra. You can sit there with your crew and paces, and I think they're crucial. The team in an ultra is crucial to your success. And a lot of the time they'll do your thinking for you. And the same can be in business, right? As a leader, you don't have to come up with every answer. You need to guide and lead and work the team through some things, but you don't have to have every answer. Sometimes it might be, what is the best scenario here? What's the best result? So I try to do that. I try to get everyone's input. I think it's great to have buy-in. I think it's good. I think growing up, playing a lot of team sports, I think it translates to business, right? Because you build the team, you bring people on the journey. People have got to feel good about, you as a leader.
A lot of people may not realize, Ben, that the world of ultra, particularly for the longer distances, 100K beyond, there's a major team element. Like, can you explain to the audience the team dynamic and what does a team look like in an ultra and what do they actually do?
I'll try with my best without getting emotional because they're everything in your ultra. To me, it starts with my wife. So you have a crew leader or a crew chief. Normally, they will basically be your brain for you, execute your plan, be at every checkpoint where you need them, massage your feet, pop blisters, clean your feet. I could go into some other stuff, but, there's chafe in an ultra. Help you prevent chafe, restock your fuel. And my wife has been there. She's an angel. She traveled to America with me recently. She drove the car. She barely slept at all in 4 days. And every time I needed her, she was there. So, Rach, I can't thank you enough. You also have paces. So you have in Tahoe from 100K to the end, you could have a pacer. Shout out to Rick Wales, one of the best runners on the Central Coast. And I think he's got massive potential to do some enormous things in ultra. He traveled with us and he did 100 miles of pacing. So he was with me for 100 miles, half the race basically. Slow at times, positive, consistently positive, telling me when to eat, supporting me all the way, being encouraging, sitting next to me if I needed a dirt nap. And a dirt nap for everyone is you just lie on the ground and sleep for 5 minutes. It's amazing what a 5-minute sleep can do. But yeah, you have a pacing team. I had another guy from the US, Dan, who helped me in Tahoe. And again, he paced for 50, 60, 70K and was just there when I needed him. Having someone to support you when you're tired, sore, and I suppose you go into some pretty dark places. I think it just helps sometimes you don't talk for like 5, 6, 7 hours, but just having someone there, as we all know, is pretty important. The team is everything in an ultra, and I think in a 200, you can't do it without a team. I'd have to say that translates to business and life, that you can't do it without a team. Whether it's your family at home, whether it's your work life, I'm big on the team.
So Rick paced you for about 100 miles. That's pretty long, right? In terms of pacing, like, okay. So do you find in the race that the majority of people running your distance had pacers? So like, did it like put a lot of people out there in the field because of that?
I think mostly everyone would like to have a pacer. I think some people, it's hard to sort of, arrange the logistics of that. But it definitely helps. I think it helps you stay on track. It also takes you, I think when you're by yourself on day 3 or 4 of a race and you've slept 3 or 4 hours, your mind can wander easily and you can start to hallucinate, which is another interesting topic. I think having a pacer also keeps your mind occupied because they're talking and you're listening, you're taking in content, you share stories, you share experiences. I think it's part of that is to keep your mind busy. So as much as the pacing is physical, I think a lot of it's the mental as well.
Did you hallucinate, Ben?
You always see things out there. I think last year I did Bigfoot. I saw Bigfoot out there many times. I don't know, it's different for us Australians. I think some of your American audience are used to bears, right? They're not too bothered by them. I was a little wary of bears, but by the end of it, I'm like, I really wanted to see a bear. Unfortunately, some of the guys on the trail got to see bears. We did not. So I'll have to go back to the US for some more races and get to see a bear.
It's funny, Ben, as you know, I'm from Northern California, right? So Lake Tahoe isn't too far from where I grew up. And when I go back to my parents, like everyone over there is like stressed out about snakes here, right? And I'm like, the last thing I want to see is not so much a bear, but like a mountain lion, right? And I don't know if you see that footage of that dude in Utah that was getting stalked by one. Like that's, I think mountain lions to me are more terrifying in some ways than bears, because bears kind of seem like, I don't know, you know, like maybe Yogi Bear. I've got this full sense of who and what they are. They're nice and cuddly, but I was more stressed when I go home about like getting stalked by like a puma or something, right?
Yeah, I thought about that a lot in my last race. Where that was in Washington State, so I think it's a bit more remote. And the Tahoe is a bit more built up. I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure some of them saw me, but yeah, I definitely didn't see anyone out there. I saw imaginary people. I saw. Oh, you see all sorts of funny things, but like most tree stumps look like a small person. You sort of know it's not real, but it's hard to tell.
You touched on prior to to starting the interview how you're getting itchy to get back into it, and you can already feel the drive to run as you gear up for an event. And I'm sure you have something you're thinking about. Like what does your training week typically look like when you're training for something 100K beyond? Like what's time on feet?
I think it's usually, usually 10, 15 hours of running. And then you've got your, a couple of strength sessions, a couple of saunas. I do 2 swimming sessions. Shout out to ELS, amazing swimming group. We do a bit of breath work with a team on the coast. So yeah, it's probably 6 running sessions, 2 swimming, 2 strength, some stretching, maybe a yoga session, and maybe a sauna.
Where's your favorite place to run on the coast?
That's an interesting question. I like Katandra is good. Booty's good. They're all good for different reasons. I like getting in the trails. I definitely like being in the bush. Even Kincumber Mountain I'm looking at behind my place it's just good to be in the bush. I think, Tahoe really reinforced I'm meant to live in the mountains, RJ. It's where I feel like I'm home. It's where I feel like I'm at peace. I feel like it's just where I belong. So anytime I can get to the mountains, whether it's the Blue Mountains, whether it's Kincumber Mountain, I think as humans, we need to be in nature. I think it's very important. And I've got to come for a run down your way very soon.
Yeah, we're in the mountains here in the Dandenong Ranges. One of the things we do miss about the coast is the element of the beach. You have some good trails, I think, in the coast as well, where it's quite remote. The Dandenong Ranges it's beautiful. It's not remote. Like you don't have one-way trails going into the middle of nowhere, like say the Great Northern Walk, but it is beautiful. And it's, for me, important to be in the mountains, obviously as someone that runs ultras, but just it's where I feel home, and I get a lot of peace out there, doing my thing. And I know that's a big reason for a lot of us that run, particularly on trails, right? Like it's not just about running. And I don't know what your view on road running is. Like for me, run a road race, the race has to have some form of meaning. Like there's got to be a real reason, because I just don't get that out there, right?
Yeah, I think there's purpose into doing 5 and 10Ks, to build speed and, and those time goals and running in big groups is, it has its moments, but being out in the trails, I think the other thing when, we're on email, we're on phone calls, we're on, Zoom half our life, right? So getting out on the trails, turn the phone off. I think it helps if there's no reception. People usually can't ring through. And I think it's a great way to disconnect. And it's a great way for me to process the day or the week or where we're at. Some thinking time, whether it's, your form of meditation, whether it's just time for yourself to check out of business, check out for a little while and, process the week that was. And I love that on the weekend. Like, I love getting out on the weekend. I'm currently on a 2-week break off running, so the hunger is definitely burning, and I feel like even just talking about it now, I need to get out on the trail this week for a short period of time anyway.
When you come back from these events and you stop running, like, are you just super hungry? Like, what do you feel like? Do you sink into lethargy? Does your mental health start to shift? Like, what happens?
All of that. I think there's definitely brain fog and fatigue once you do a 200. Definitely the few days after, I think I enjoy, Rick and I went to breakfast the day after. I think we had 3 breakfasts each. So we're definitely depleted, but there's definitely brain fog, fatigue, and a lot of sleep. So I think rest is very important. I think this is my 3rd 200 in the last 3 years, and you need to give yourself time to recover. I think, at least 4 weeks is probably, reasonable. The people that are doing the Triple Crown, shout out to Destination Trail, and people that are doing 3 200s this year. That's a dream of mine, but that's, big to do them 2 months apart, 8 weeks apart, basically 3 in a row is pretty big. So I think rest is important. I think, getting back into it just needs to be let the hunger burn naturally. So I think I need running for my mental health, right? But I also need the rest. So it's like you're sort of balancing and weighing it up. It's like, okay, am I ready yet? And you're sort of just assessing day by day where I'm at. And, it's coming back. It's been 2 weeks. I can feel it. It's pretty close. I feel like I need to get back out there. And, I substitute some swimming. I went for a swim last weekend, moving your body, going for a walk. I think it's all still important. But, I long to be out on the trail soon with you.
I mean, in the world of ultra, there's many different kinds of runners. You've got the athletes, you've got the David Goggins crew, and then you've got like everything in between. Like, do you see yourself and your ultra running as an athletic pursuit or more of a mental pursuit?
I think I'm starting to see it more as an athletic pursuit. Like it is, I think it's easy to have, a bit of imposter syndrome when you're not at the front of the pack and I'm just going to finish this 200. Everyone that finishes a 200-mile race is phenomenal. Like everyone and you see that at the finish line of these races. Like the last person gets the biggest cheer out of anyone because they've been on the course for like 4.5 days. So I think, and I completed Coast to Cozzy last year, which is elite race. And amazing experience, amazing people, amazing family. Shout out to Greg and Mickey. Hopefully I get in this year. But I think the more I think about it, there is a huge mental aspect. But if you're not able to physically get your body through the training, get your body through, you're not going to make it. So I think I'm starting to, realize more and more that, I guess I am an athlete.
You are. And I would say that's the shift for most hardheads that get into ultra, right? Like it's at the beginning, it's like, I'm just going to break myself to get through. And then you start to optimize and get better and start to see yourself as an athlete. And I think that's what I love about ultra is maintaining those two. Like I still have a personal philosophy that I do not want to have a DNF. I know athletes will because they'll think more about their body or the race they have coming up, right? So they're a little bit more strategic, and I feel will tend to not finish if they're really fucked, right? Whereas I'm like, no, I got to get through, right? Because, it's that whole slippery slope of once I don't, then, you know what I mean, right?
So I had a DNF at Human Hobble about, I think it was 2018, 2019. It burns me to this day, RJ. I cannot let it go. And I've replayed that day and that moment. I suppose there's always a moment, right, where you just go, and there's a lot that leads up to it, but it's like, I'm out, I'm done, checked out. And it's a big thing. Like, and I know some people think that's, it's just one race, whatever, but it's it's a big thing. And I think about that Human Hollow race and Paul, my Irish friend that was, with me at the time. And yeah, I have to go back to Human Hollow on stage. There's work to be done there.
Well, we know now where you're going next for sure. I want to move to an interesting concept of risk management, right? So you're a CEO and you're a commercial person, you're in business. Like ultra running obviously has risks, calculated risks. Like how does it inform the way that you manage risk or assess risk in business?
I think business is hard, and we all know that. I think it's just about being informed, right? I think it's about putting strategies in place to minimize that risk. I think it's about, you don't want to expose yourself. You've got to take risk, and you've got to, especially when you're building a new business, I think you've got to be a bit riskier, and you've got to have strategies that are a bit more out there. But as you get more sophisticated, and it's probably the same in running, as you get more sophisticated, you don't need to take the risks that you did early on. But initially, businesses, a lot of businesses fail because you've got to take risks. You've got to put yourself out there, and nothing's guaranteed. So I think, the key is to continue to de-risk as you move forward. But initially, you've just got to manage that and then just wind it back as you move forward, I think.
I've got a bit of an interesting question for you around ultra running. Like I think a lot of times sometimes we can question the time on feet and are we a bit crazy, or is there better alternatives to how we're spending our time?
The answer is yes.
Well, yeah, we are, right? But reflecting on your journey to becoming a CEO, Ben, how much would you say that ultra has or has not contributed to that?
I think it's massive. I think is 100% too much. I think the ultra running and my endeavors have given me self-belief. I think once you do a 200-mile race, nothing can touch you. Nothing. It's like I'm bulletproof. It's like I can do that. I can do anything. And in my CEO role, there's been a lot of challenges. There's always hurdles. But I think having that mental strength, having that resilience, the grit to say, okay, staying calm, people are looking for leaders to be the voice of reason, to, stay calm under pressure. And in an ultra, you're under a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of reasons to give up. There's a lot of reasons to say this is too hard, but I think it's given me, that grit, that resilience, that self-belief that I can do anything in this world. And I'm not finished yet. I think it's, it's like, how far can we go? How far can we push ourselves? When you tell people you slept for 4 hours in 4 nights, they say, you're nuts. That's, how do you do that? People can't sleep 4 hours in a night and survive the next day.
How do you do that without drugs, basically, right? That's
yeah, correct. And it's like, and one of the medics at the last race, she gave me a little token and said, you're stronger than you know. And I think that's a great message, right? Everyone out there, you are stronger than you realize. You have so much more to give. Everything you need is inside you. You just got to get it out, and you got to realize it to start with. And you've just got to have that self-belief. I think once you have that self-belief, nothing can stop you.
That's an excellent answer. And I think we'll start to land the plane on that one, Ben. I do need to ask you, what's next, dude?
I'm registered for the Monster next year. So Candace and Destination Trail have put out a 309-mile ultra marathon through Arizona, through the desert. So conversion rate. That's 500 Ks. And we have a week basically to complete the race. And there's about 12 Aussies going over. So I think Adrian Nicholson, Sarah Niven, there's a lot of great runners heading over there for the first inaugural 300-mile monster. So that's pretty exciting. And it's probably going to throw up, they say 200 is the new 100 when you're talking milers, but now 300 is the new 200. So it's like, how far can we go? But I think in that race, sleep's going to be a challenge. I think, you need to sleep a little bit in a 200.
My brother lives there, and I've run there a little bit. It's that whole area. Candace has great events. So have you seen? I know Goggins goes to some of her events. Is he still running?
I think he is. I think he's had some knee problems, but I don't think he's still running. He hasn't done many events recently. But Candace, the destination trail races and the events they put on are second to none. The shout out to the volunteers. You go into those aid stations and you have a full breakfast menu. They will look after you. They feed you. The atmosphere, the energy of those places is so good. And yeah, I've done Bigfoot. I've done Tahoe. I'll do the monster next year. It leaves Moab. So we'll be heading to Moab soon. Maybe next year. Don't tell my wife.
Do you think you'll go into some of the shorter races, like the more like the Western states, the Leadville, or are you beyond?
I like to explore how far we can go. I have a secret ambition. Shout out to Sean Bell running around Australia. I think just shows what's possible with human spirit. He's an amazing runner. Sean, I think he's just clicked over 10,000 kilometres. And yeah, what a journey. Running double marathon every day through adversity. I think sometimes you think you're doing amazing, and I'm very proud of what I've done. But yeah, Sean is redefining what's possible, and that excites me.
Excellent. So where can our audience learn more about you and your shenanigans? What social media?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, DA Running Bug. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. Shout out to Civil and Civic, our company. We've got a lot of exciting things happening. So if you need any civil construction, plumbing, cheap plug, we've got a lot of big developments happening. So yeah, that's exciting for me. And yeah, I'd love to connect and talk running with, people like yourself. It's a huge passion of mine. And I think the best thing about running and the long races is the community, people you meet. I met some amazing people in Tahoe, texting every day now. Casey is one of them. Charles, some of the guys there. The people you meet are amazing. I find the people at these events they're good people, right? They're good people. And yeah, I'm grateful for that.
Excellent, Ben. Well, you have a great day. We'll land it there, mate. Peace out.
Thanks for your time, RJ.